Good morning, everyone. We want to talk to you today about surprises. We want to give you all an idea of how things can go wrong. And, on the one side of it, you might have a friend or family member saying, well, my car's in the shop, and, they said it was coming back to me on such and such a day, and now it's not. And, that can be really frustrating and really stressful, and we understand that. We want to give you a little insight into how that can happen, even when a shop does everything they can to prevent that from happening. This is a 2005 Honda Civic. This car belongs to a young couple with a child, and this is their only car, and they're tight on money. It has 150,000 miles on it and is way overdue for a timing belt. The timing belt, of course, installs in this area. It keeps the camshaft, and here's your camshaft pulley here, in time with the crankshaft, and there's your crankshaft pulley down there. And obviously the belt is not installed right now. You have a tensioner that holds tension on the belt, and that tensioner installs down here. Now, the belt that came off this car was a Honda belt, so as far as we know, it's the same belt that came on the car from the factory. And the belt is, I believe it's a 110,000 mile interval for this belt. It's 40,000 miles overdue, and the customer is fortunate that the belt has held up for that long. And the strange thing about this one is when I changed the crankshaft oil seal, the front crankshaft oil seal down here, I saw gouge marks around the outside of the seal. So I know that someone was in there before trying to get that seal out. Whether or not they were successful, I don't know. I just know that someone was in there. What that means is the timing belt was out in the past. And what that means is the tensioner bolt, the bolt that holds this guy in place on the motor, that bolt was taken out and retightened. This is where we want to talk about quality of work. We take that extremely seriously here, and doing work the right way often takes more time than rushing through it. So just to give you an idea, when I went to put this tensioner back in, I had the bolt in place, and I put what's called a torque wrench on the bolt to tighten it to where it was not too loose and not too tight. And the bolt never got even close to tight enough. And the reason that happened is it was literally pulling the threads out of the engine. That almost never happens if bolts are properly tightened. Even with modern aluminum cylinder heads and blocks and such, there are rare exceptions, but almost never will happen if things are properly tightened. So the best thing I can figure is that whoever was in here before, again, I can tell someone's been in here before, they probably over-tightened that bolt. And here's where things get really stressful for everybody. Like I said, young couple, limited finances, one car, they need to be able to get back and forth to work. They need to be able to, take their child places and all of that. And it's very rare to run into this stuff, but it can happen, and we're going to have to call them and say that the car they expected to have back tonight is not coming back tonight. Not to mention that we've got other cars in here for people needing things, and we need to honor those obligations as well. And this is not an easy repair either. It's a time and labor intensive repair to do correctly. Just to restore the threads in the engine. This all could have been prevented by that one bolt being torqued properly. Now, I'm not saying that the person that did this meant any harm. There are guys that work on cars every day who don't torque every bolt they touch, and we don't torque every bolt we touch either, but that's part of growing your skill as a mechanic, is learning what is essential to torque and what is not. And sadly, this particular situation developed in a way that it's unfortunate timing for the customer, and frankly it's unfortunate for us because we build an estimate for the customer to do this job, and we're going to be putting time and materials into this repair that we may well not be getting paid for. I'm not saying it should have to be that way. I'm not saying we have to approach it that way, because we didn't buy the car, we didn't design the car, we didn't break the car. However, we very much care about our customers, and right now we make it our shop practice that once we give a customer a number, we honor that number. And every now and then it means we end up eating a part. or we end up eating some labor time. And again, I'm not saying that you should expect that from a shop, because we did not cause this problem. But we're going to send the car out fixed right, and we're not going to call the customer and increase the estimate on the job. But they are going to get it back. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, when you have your car worked on, take it to someone that you can trust, someone who's ethical, someone who's honest, someone who cares about you, but take it to someone who knows what they're doing. And by the way, that does not mean the dealership. You can have, at a dealership, you can have someone who's a 30-year veteran, who's an excellent mechanic, who's highly skilled, who will do a great job on your car. You can have a guy who's 30 years experienced who, you know, he stopped learning a long time ago and he still has some bad work practices. You can have he can be working right next to a guy who's a couple years out of trade school, who, on the one hand, he may be detail-oriented and focused and, you know, building up his tool set with the right tools, and maybe he would have torqued this bolt and this wouldn't have happened. Or, you know, maybe he's someone that he's inexperienced and he didn't know better because he's not that far out of trade school. My point is, when you take your car to a shop, whether it's a dealership or not, you want to know who's working on it, because fixing cars involves time and money, and when things are not done properly, you won't always know about it right away. We're finding out about this problem years after the fact, and it's putting us and the customer in a tough situation. And in a manner of speaking, that's okay, because we're here to solve problems, and sometimes that comes with complications. But again, complications. There are time and money complications to this kind of thing happening. So, as you may be able to tell from the tone of my voice here, I'm feeling a little bit more tense and stressed about this than I feel about a lot of the things we shoot videos about. But again, this is meant to give you a look at the other side of things. When your friend or family member comes home and says, man, like, I'm not getting my car back and I don't really understand why. You know, depending on what's going on at the shop, I mean, in this case, this is what happened. We're uncovering a problem that's actually existed for years. And that's, when you over-tighten bolts, this is often what happens. That goes in extra tight one last time, and it holds on as long as no one messes with it. It's when you pull it out, it takes parts of the threads with it, and it never goes in tight again. So, I hope this is helpful. And would just say in closing that find someone to work on your car that cares about you as a person and they're honest, but they need to know what they're doing.